Okay, I don't know if any of you know or follow me on other social media sites that I use. Yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Zheani and hypocrites and stuff like that, and how people will do anything for fame, and once they get a taste of success, they just screw everyone else over. I'm going to talk about Zheani. She's preached about, like her mother getting beaten up by a guy, and, how she couldn't stop all these crimes, and how she's trying to overcome them. And then the second she got fame, she just ignored it and did napalm. So that kind of shows you what kind of character she has. And yes, I know that Diane Wood and little whatever that girl's name have some serious issues, but she's adding to issues, and she's also doing things that are almost the same. Basically, she's doing everything she said she wouldn't. Yeah, if something like that happened, I would apologize and try to work on my awareness, which I've had to anyway because of how shattered I became after the weapons. And even before that, like I had multiple awarenesses and voices and everything else. I'm not going to get into that right now. Um, yeah, she'll eventually become an Instagram model, like all the rest, and nobody will really care. She doesn't have that many followers, and she hasn't done anything earth shattering. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've tried a few times to get through to her, but it's obviously impossible because Jesus is a ticket out of hell and sin. So basically, people use the Bible to defend themselves, and I've heard her preach against satanic things before, and it's like, I don't know if you understand the symbols that you're wearing or what you're doing, but yeah. And I know some of those things too from what happened to me. Yeah, I know about summoning certain personalities. I know about how to play a game. All this stuff is in our media and has been forever. It's just a little more personal to me, kind of like how guys get in your head when they dominate you and can control you as a female, stuff like that. It depends on how hardcore it is or how painful it is. I don't like America very much for another reason, and that's because females are not free, and we're also tortured if we do anything in our interest, or the fact that I wouldn't date my equal who is a drug addict hobo. See, they'll get mad at you too. It's like, why didn't you get married? And I'm like, because you told me to keep my leg closed and not have babies. Because if I have sex and I have babies, then suddenly I'm an even bigger burden. And I was like, okay, I'll avoid that. Yes, I'm obviously a genetic failure. I know. I grew up with this stuff, and I would never put anyone through some of my relatives or my childhood. I consider bringing such a child into the world as child abuse, but humans will do anything. They'll all sigh with me, relieved. Oh, at least she doesn't, and then go on. That's why I don't like America very much because, like I said, it's all a trick. And it's like, well, I did this because you told me that, and now that you do that. So basically, yeah, I'm going to a residential care facility so that I can't get dragged out of my damn apartment anymore or, all the other stuff that I've had to deal with. Yeah, and they use Jesus here. I mean, and religion a lot. Like basically they say, well, they have fame or they have wealth and obviously God has blessed them, but what the Lord giveth, the Lord can take away, but they never seem to say this, and they're always like, by their fruits you shall know them, and I'm like, by the public education system, you can see what happened to me and how society is made. Several of disabled people like Corey Johnson we go straight to hell, and then we become like, I don't know, hitmen, spies, thieves, prostitutes, and they love to do that to us. And it's like, no, I don't like you, which is why I don't like America. You can't make good choices here. If you start to make good choices, you'll suddenly commit a crime. We don't have very much social mobility here. And for someone like me, that isn't even interesting. It isn't even appealing. I'm like, okay, well, can I just stay in the low class for the rest of my life and work at Subway while slowly just, writing when Yahoo Answers was open, poetry or short stories? No, apparently not. I have to suffer in the pits of hell. Yeah, because they'll come incite me, and it's like, but at the same time, you've incited me. You've said I can't have that. So, I mean, just the problem with America is that anyone can get involved in your life and do anything they want to you. Like, and they wear this too, like my fellow creature. It's like, oh, well, I can do this, and you can't do anything about it, but I do the same crime, and nobody cares. I mean, it's kind of sad. Like, rich people can murder us, and it's really depressing. Like in Gaga's paparazzi, a lot of us have seen a lot, and it's pretty scary. And it's like, how did you get away with all that? I mean, one or two are fine, because when you get into the game a lot, there will be people who you can't freaking get rid of, and it's not me. It's like these people are either spies or they've been set out to destroy you, and it's like bang bang. And I kind of sometimes I get really angry about punishments, even though I can't feel anger. It comes in my thoughts, which I've explained many times, and I could, screw it. Anyway, but what I'm saying is that people like Jarris Johnson, I can't get rid of him. The only way I can get rid of him is to either go in a facility or do a crime. But he can do anything he wants to me, which is ridiculous. Yeah. And they get mad at me for my mental illness. They're like, why don't you work? And it's like, I barely have a concept of the freaking future. Now, once again, good Kayla is working on it by reading and writing every day. It's so much fun. I mean, tell you, I just spent a year on Quora, or whatever it's called, writing, because I didn't want to totally lose the ability when I was shut down for a year and all I did was sleep. I've lost years of my life anyway. But I will say something that has actually helped me. And no, I cannot be Muslim in my country, or not in my country, but in my state, because it's really hard and it'll just cause more hell. Because, I mean, I've even had, like people in the mental ward, like who were really hardcore Christians, didn't drag me. They took me into the laundry room and told me I was possessed by demons. Now, I'm pretty much like a laid back person, and I have been since 14. I was aggressive before that due to severe abuse, but we don't get into that. Anyway, I became semi-normal as I was growing up through that phase. Yeah, I hope I can remember what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, that thought went. Anyway, oh yeah, not being a Muslim. But I will tell you, and I'm very sorry to the Muslims here. I got this on digital because my cat is very messy, and I'm not trying to insult the Quran. But this is much better than the damn Bible. And I have this on my Nook, too. The Quran on my Nook, because I don't know, because everything that I have gets destroyed. And also, I don't want people, reading into it and getting really offended here because they're hardcore Christians. And it's just, you pick your battles. I don't want to cause anybody stress. And no, I'm not trying to be a Muslim to marry some rich guy, but they'll assume that. And no, I will never marry and I will never have children because I've been so traumatized. Taking me on a date would be a nightmare for a guy, especially if he had a job above a janitor. And that's just going back to them taking our lives at any moment. And they feel they can do this because they've been trained that they matter more than us. And it just creates a lot of problems. And like when I go after Zheani, she'll never give up and become one of them. Yeah. So this very long video is over.